Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. The summer sun beat down on the sidewalk as Patricia stepped out of her aunt's car, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. She tugged at the hem of her oversized t-shirt, feeling exposed despite the baggy fabric. It had only been a few months since she had begun living as her true self, and every day brought new challenges and discoveries. Aunt Mame emerged from the driver's side, her vibrant floral dress a stark contrast to Patricia's muted attire. "Come on, darling," she called, her voice full of enthusiasm. "Today's going to be wonderful." Patricia forced a smile, trying to match her aunt's energy. As they approached the salon, its sleek glass facade reflecting the summer heat, she felt a flutter of nervousness in her stomach. The bell chimed as they entered, and cool air washed over them. The salon was a hive of activity. The buzz of hair dryers, the snip of scissors, and the chatter of patrons filled the air. A petite blonde with a pixie cut bounced up to them, her smile dazzling. "You must be Mame and Patricia. I'm Mandy. We've been so excited to meet you." Mame beamed, placing a hand on Patricia's shoulder. "Yes, that's us. Patricia here is ready for a little pampering, aren't you, dear?" Patricia nodded, not trusting her voice. She followed Mandy to a plush leather chair, sinking into it gratefully. Mandy leaned in, her eyes sparkling. "So, Patricia, what are we thinking today? A new cut? Some color?" Before Patricia could respond, Mame interjected. "We're open to suggestions, Mandy. Patricia's still finding her style, aren't you, sweetie?" Patricia nodded again, feeling a blush creep up her cheeks. She caught sight of herself in the mirror. Short, mousy brown hair, plain features, no makeup. She barely recognized herself these days. Mandy tilted her head, studying Patricia's reflection. "I have some ideas. How about we start with a wash, and then we'll talk options?" As Patricia leaned back into the sink, the warm water cascading over her scalp, she closed her eyes and tried to relax. The gentle pressure of Mandy's fingers massaging her head was soothing, and for a moment she allowed herself to imagine the possibilities. "So, Patricia," Mandy's voice floated above the sound of running water. "Tell me a bit about yourself. What do you like to do?" Patricia hesitated. I'm not sure anymore. Everything's changed so much lately." Mandy's hands paused for a moment before resuming their gentle massage. "That's okay. Change can be scary, but it can also be exciting. Think of this as a fresh start." As Mandy wrapped a towel around Patricia's hair and led her back to the styling chair, Mame returned from the reception area, carrying a glossy shopping bag. "Look what I found, Patricia!" Mame exclaimed, pulling out a sleek handbag in a soft rose color. "Isn't it darling? And look, it comes with a matching lip gloss." Patricia's eyes widened as she took in the elegant bag and the small tube of shimmering pink gloss. It's beautiful," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Mandy clapped her hands together. "Oh, that's perfect. It'll go wonderfully with what I have in mind." "Now, Patricia, how do you feel about layers?" As Mandy began to work her magic, snipping and shaping Patricia's hair, Mame settled into a nearby chair, her eyes never leaving her niece. "You know, Patricia," Mame began, her voice soft and reminiscent, "when I was your age, I was terrified of change. I thought I had to fit into this mold that society had created for me. But then I realized that the only person I needed to please was myself." Patricia met her aunt's eyes in the mirror, seeing the warmth and understanding there. "How did you figure it out?" she asked, her voice small. Mame laughed, a rich, melodious sound. "Oh, darling, it wasn't easy. There were plenty of missteps along the way, but I surrounded myself with people who supported me, who saw me for who I truly was. And little by little, I became the person I wanted to be." As Mandy worked, transforming Patricia's hair into a soft, feminine style that framed her face beautifully, the conversation flowed more easily. Patricia found herself opening up about her fears, her hopes, and her struggles with her new identity. "It's just, sometimes I feel like I'm playing dress-up," Patricia admitted, watching as auburn highlights emerged in her hair. Like I'm not really a girl, just pretending to be one. Mandy paused, meeting Patricia's eyes in the mirror. Honey, every woman feels like that sometimes. We're all figuring it out as we go along. The secret is to find what makes you feel confident and comfortable. Mame nodded in agreement. Exactly. And remember, Patricia, being a woman isn't about fitting into someone else's idea of femininity. It's about embracing who you are in all your unique glory. As the final touches were put on Patricia's hair, Mandy spun the chair around. Ready to see the new you? Patricia took a deep breath and nodded. As she faced the mirror, her jaw dropped. The person staring back at her was undeniably feminine, with soft layers that accentuated her cheekbones and brought out the green in her eyes. Oh my, she breathed, reaching up to touch the silky strands. Mandy grinned. What do you think? Should we go further? Maybe some makeup? Patricia nodded eagerly, a genuine smile spreading across her face for the first time that day. As Mandy began applying a light foundation, explaining each step as she went, Mame leaned in. You know, Patricia, I think we should consider updating your wardrobe as well. How do you feel about a shopping trip after this? Patricia's eyes lit up. Really? I'd love that. Mandy, who was now adding a subtle blush to Patricia's cheeks, chimed in. Ooh, if you're going shopping, you should definitely try on some skirts. A nice flared skirt would look amazing on you. As the makeup application continued, Patricia found herself relaxing more and more. The weight that had been pressing on her chest since she arrived seemed to lift with each brushstroke. There, Mandy said finally, stepping back to admire her work. Take a look. Patricia turned to the mirror once more and gasped. The person looking back at her was undeniably herself, but softer, more confident. Her eyes seemed larger, framed by a subtle smoky shadow and mascara. Her lips shimmered with the gloss from the new handbag. I don't know what to say, Patricia whispered, her eyes filling with tears. Mame was at her side in an instant, wrapping her in a warm hug. You don't have to say anything, darling. Just feel it. As they prepared to leave the salon, Mandy pulled Patricia aside. Remember, she said softly, being a woman isn't about how you look. It's about how you feel. But if looking like this helps you feel more like yourself, then embrace it. Patricia nodded, clutching her new handbag close. Thank you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. For everything. As they stepped out into the summer sun, Patricia felt different. Not just because of her new look, but because of the confidence that was slowly blooming within her. She knew there would still be challenges ahead, but for the first time in a long time, she felt ready to face them. Mame linked her arm through Patricia's as they walked towards the car. So ready for that shopping trip? Patricia grinned, feeling the soft gloss on her lips. Absolutely, she said, her voice strong and sure. As they drove towards the mall, the city streets passing by in a blur of color and movement, Patricia found herself thinking about the journey ahead. It wouldn't be easy, she knew that. There would be days when she doubted herself, when the world seemed too harsh and unforgiving. But there would also be days like today, days filled with small victories and moments of pure joy. The mall loomed ahead, its glass and steel structure glinting in the afternoon sun. Patricia felt a mix of excitement and nervousness bubbling up inside her. Shopping for clothes had always been a source of anxiety before, but now, with her new look and Aunt Mame by her side, she felt a glimmer of hope. As they entered the cool interior of the mall, Mame turned to Patricia with a mischievous glint in her eye. So where shall we start? Dresses? Skirts? Oh, we simply must get you some proper lingerie. Patricia felt her cheeks flush at the mention of lingerie, but she couldn't deny the thrill that ran through her at the thought of having a proper, feminine wardrobe. They started in a trendy boutique, its racks filled with an array of colorful garments. Patricia ran her hand over the soft fabrics, marveling at the textures and patterns. A sales associate approached them, her smile warm and welcoming. "Can I help you ladies find anything today?" Mame took charge, her enthusiasm infectious.
"Yes, indeed. We're giving my niece here a complete wardrobe overhaul. We need everything. Dresses, skirts, blouses, you name it." The associate, whose name tag read Emily, nodded enthusiastically. "Wonderful. Let's start by finding your size, and then we can pull some options for you to try on."
As Emily measured her, Patricia couldn't help but feel a pang of insecurity. Her body, still in the early stages of transition, didn't quite match the typical female form. But Emily's professional demeanor and kind smile put her at ease. "All right, I think I have a good idea of what will work for you," Emily said, heading towards the racks. "Let's start with some basics and then move on to statement pieces." The next hour was a whirlwind of fabrics, colors, and styles. Patricia tried on more clothes than she had in her entire life. Some items were immediate no's: a ruffled blouse that made her feel like a child playing dress-up, a bodycon dress that clung uncomfortably to all the wrong places. But there were also wonderful surprises. A soft, emerald green wrap dress hugged her waist and flowed gracefully to her knees, creating the illusion of curves where there were none. A high-waisted, flared skirt in a cheerful floral print made her legs look long and slim. A silky blouse in a deep purple brought out the green in her eyes and complemented her new hair color perfectly. With each successful outfit, Patricia's confidence grew. She began to see herself not as a boy trying to be a girl, but as a young woman coming into her own style. Mame was in her element, offering encouragement and suggestions. "Oh, darling, that color is divine on you," she exclaimed as Patricia emerged in a coral sundress. "We simply must get that one." As they made their selections, Emily brought over a few more items. "I thought these might suit you," she said, holding up a pair of high-waisted jeans and a cropped jacket. "They're very on-trend right now." Patricia hesitated. She had always associated jeans with her old wardrobe, with trying to fit in as a boy. But these were different, feminine, stylish. She tried them on and was amazed at how they made her feel. The high waist accentuated her slender frame, and the cropped jacket added a touch of edgy femininity. "I love them," she said, her voice filled with surprise and delight. As they made their way to the checkout, arms laden with bags, Patricia felt a sense of accomplishment. She had faced one of her biggest fears, shopping for women's clothes in public, and not only survived, but thrived. "Now," Mame said as they exited the store, "let's talk about shoes. Every woman needs a good pair of heels." Patricia's eyes widened. "Heels? I don't know if I can walk in those." Mame laughed, a warm, comforting sound.
"Oh, sweetie, no one can at first. It takes practice. But don't worry, we'll start you off with something manageable." They entered a shoe store, its shelves lined with a dazzling array of footwear. Patricia had never paid much attention to women's shoes before, but now she found herself drawn to the variety of styles and colors. A salesperson approached, his smile friendly. "Good afternoon, ladies. How can I assist you today?" Mame took charge once again. "We're looking for some versatile shoes for my niece here, something she can wear day to day, but also dress up if needed." The salesperson nodded. "Of course, let's start by measuring your foot to ensure we get the right size." As Patricia sat on the plush bench, allowing the salesperson to measure her feet, she couldn't help but feel a bit overwhelmed. There were so many options, so many styles to choose from. How did women navigate this world so effortlessly? The salesperson returned with several boxes. "I've selected a few options I think you'll like. Let's start with these."
He opened the first box to reveal a pair of ballet flats in a soft, buttery leather. Patricia slipped them on, marveling at how comfortable they felt. "These are perfect for everyday wear," the salesperson explained. "They go with almost anything, and they're comfortable enough to wear all day." Next came a pair of low-heeled ankle boots in a rich burgundy color. Patricia stood up, wobbling slightly as she got used to the small heel. "Take a few steps," the salesperson encouraged. "Get a feel for them." Patricia walked up and down the carpeted aisle, slowly gaining confidence with each step. The boots made her feel taller, more sophisticated. "Oh, those are fabulous," Mame exclaimed. "They'll go wonderfully with that floral skirt we bought." The final pair was a set of strappy sandals with a slightly higher heel. Patricia eyed them nervously, but the salesperson assured her they were more stable than they looked.
"The block heel provides more support than a stiletto," he explained as he helped Patricia fasten the delicate straps around her ankles. Standing up in the sandals, Patricia felt like a different person. She was taller, yes, but it was more than that. She felt elegant, feminine in a way she never had before. "How do they feel?" Mame asked, watching Patricia's face carefully. Patricia took a few experimental steps, her movements becoming more fluid as she grew accustomed to the height. "They feel amazing," she said, a note of wonder in her voice. In the end, they left with all 3 pairs, plus a comfortable set of sneakers for casual days. As they made their way back through the mall, Patricia's arms laden with bags, she felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. "You know," Mame said as they approached the exit, "I think this calls for a celebration. How about we get our nails done?" Patricia looked down at her hands, the nails short and unadorned. She had always been curious about manicures, but had never dared to get one before. "Really?" she asked, unable to keep the excitement out of her voice. "Of course," Mame replied. "It's the perfect finishing touch." They found a nail salon tucked away in a corner of the mall. The smell of acetone and nail polish filled the air as they entered, and Patricia felt a flutter of nervous excitement in her stomach. A friendly technician greeted them, her own nails a riot of color and intricate designs. "Welcome! What can we do for you today?" Mame gestured to Patricia. "My niece here is getting her first manicure. What would you recommend?" The technician smiled warmly at Patricia. "For a first-time manicure, I'd suggest starting with something simple but pretty. How about a nice pale pink or a French manicure?" Patricia nodded, still feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the options. "Pink sounds nice," she said softly. As they settled into the plush pedicure chairs, soaking their feet in warm, fragrant water, Patricia felt herself begin to relax. The day had been full of new experiences, each one pushing her a little further out of her comfort zone, but in the best possible way. The technician began working on Patricia's nails, carefully shaping and buffing them. "So, how has your day been?" she asked conversationally. Patricia looked at Mame, who gave her an encouraging nod. "It's been transformative," Patricia replied, surprising herself with her choice of words. "We've been shopping for a new wardrobe." The technician nodded approvingly. "Nothing like some retail therapy to lift the spirits, and you're going to love how your nails complement your new outfits." As the technician applied the pale pink polish, Patricia watched in fascination. She had never paid much attention to her hands before, always trying to hide them, to make them as unremarkable as possible. But now, as the delicate color was carefully applied, she found herself admiring the slender shape of her fingers, the gentle curve of her nails. "What do you think?" the technician asked as she finished the final coat. Patricia held her hands up, turning them this way and that to admire the effect. The pale pink polish made her hands look softer, more feminine. "They're beautiful," she said, her voice filled with wonder. Mame beamed at her from the next chair. "They certainly are, darling. You look absolutely lovely." As they left the nail salon, their nails glossy and perfect, Patricia felt a sense of completion. The day had been a whirlwind of new experiences, each one adding another piece to the puzzle of her identity. They made their way back to Mame's car, the trunk now full of shopping bags. As they drove home, the setting sun painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Patricia found herself reflecting on the day's events. "Aunt Mame," she said softly, "thank you for everything. I don't know how to express how much this means to me." Mame reached over and squeezed Patricia's hand gently.
Oh, sweetheart, you don't need to thank me. This is what family does. We support each other, we lift each other up. I'm just so proud of you for being true to yourself. As they pulled into the driveway of Mame's house, Patricia felt a surge of excitement. She couldn't wait to try on all her new clothes, to experiment with different outfits and styles. Now, Mame said as they carried the bags into the house. Why don't you go upstairs and change into one of your new outfits? We'll have a little fashion show before dinner. Patricia nodded eagerly, gathering up her bags and heading to her room. As she closed the door behind her, she took a deep breath, savoring the moment. For the first time in her life, she had a wardrobe that truly reflected who she was. She laid out her purchases on the bed, considering her options. After a moment of deliberation, she chose the emerald green wrap dress, pairing it with the low-heeled ankle boots. She slipped on the dress, marveling at how the soft fabric felt against her skin. Standing in front of the full-length mirror, Patricia hardly recognized herself. The person looking back at her was undeniably feminine, from the soft waves of her newly styled hair to the glossy pink of her manicured nails. But more than that, she looked happy. There was a light in her eyes that hadn't been there before, a confidence in her posture that was entirely new. She reached for the new handbag, transferring her few possessions into it. As she did, her hand brushed against the tube of lip gloss. After a moment's hesitation, she uncapped it and carefully applied it to her lips, just as Mandy had shown her at the salon. Taking one last look in the mirror, Patricia took a deep breath and headed downstairs. She could hear Mame in the kitchen, the clatter of pots and pans mixing with the soft strains of music. "Aunt Mame!" she called out, her voice trembling slightly with nervousness and excitement. Mame emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. As she caught sight of Patricia, her face lit up with joy. "Oh, darling," she breathed. "You look absolutely stunning." Patricia felt a blush creep up her cheeks, but she couldn't stop the smile that spread across her face.
Really? You think so? I know so,
Mame said firmly.
But more importantly, how do you feel?
Patricia took a moment to consider the question. How did she feel? There were so many emotions swirling inside her: joy, relief, excitement, a touch of nervousness. But overwhelming all of that was a sense of rightness, of finally being in sync with her true self. "I feel like me," she said finally. "Like I'm finally on the outside who I've always been on the inside." Mame's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she pulled Patricia into a warm hug. "That's all I've ever wanted for you, sweetheart, to be able to be your true self." As they broke apart, Mame gave Patricia a playful twirl. "Now, let's see the rest of your new wardrobe. I want a full fashion show." The rest of the evening passed in a blur of outfit changes and laughter. Patricia modeled each of her new outfits, growing more confident with each one. Mame offered advice on accessories and color combinations, sharing stories from her own journey of self-discovery. As they sat down to a late dinner, Patricia in her new jeans and silk blouse, she felt a sense of peace settle over her. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, she knew that. There would still be challenges to face, prejudices to overcome. But for the first time, she felt equipped to face those challenges head-on. "You know," Mame said as they finished their meal, "I was thinking, tomorrow's Sunday. How would you feel about going to brunch? There's this lovely little cafe in town, very LGBTQ friendly. It might be nice for you to meet some people in the community." Patricia felt a flutter of nervousness in her stomach, but it was overshadowed by a spark of excitement. I think I'd like that," she said, surprising herself with her own boldness. Mame beamed at her. "Wonderful! It'll be a perfect opportunity to wear one of your new outfits." As Patricia lay in bed that night, her new clothes carefully hung in the closet, she found herself filled with a sense of anticipation for the day ahead. For the first time in a long time, she was looking forward to the future, eager to see what each new day would bring. She drifted off to sleep with a smile on her face, dreaming of sunny cafes and new friends. of a world where she could simply be herself. The next morning, Patricia woke to the sound of birds chirping outside her window. For a moment, she lay still, savoring the peace of the early morning. Then, with a burst of energy, she threw back the covers and headed to her closet. Today was a day for new beginnings, and she wanted her outfit to reflect that. After some deliberation, she chose the floral print skirt and paired it with a soft, cream-colored blouse. The ballet flats completed the look, comfortable yet feminine. As she applied her makeup, following the steps Mandy had shown her at the salon, Patricia felt a surge of confidence. The person looking back at her from the mirror was undeniably herself, but a version of herself she had only dreamed of before. Downstairs, she found Mame in the kitchen, humming as she prepared a light breakfast. "Good morning, sunshine," Mame called out as Patricia entered. "My, don't you look lovely?" Patricia smoothed down her skirt, a pleased smile on her face. "Thanks, Aunt Mame. I'm a little nervous about brunch, but I'm excited too." Mame set a plate of toast and fruit in front of Patricia. "That's perfectly natural, dear. Just remember, everyone at this cafe is there for the same reason, to be themselves in a safe, accepting environment." As they drove into town, Patricia found herself fidgeting with the strap of her new handbag. The streets were quiet on this Sunday morning, but she could see people starting to emerge, heading to cafes or taking leisurely walks. The cafe Mame had chosen was a charming little place, with tables spilling out onto a sunny patio. A rainbow flag hung proudly in the window, and Patricia felt a mix of nerves and excitement as they approached. Inside, the cafe was bustling with activity. The air was filled with the rich aroma of coffee and the sound of cheerful chatter. Patricia glanced around, taking in the diverse crowd. There were people of all ages and styles, some in brightly colored outfits, others in more subdued attire. A friendly server approached them, her smile warm and welcoming. "Good morning. Table for two." Thanks for watching. Check out Patreon if you want to have early access to the other parts. If not, it will be online in a couple of days.